Welcome back. So that is calculating train fare, and this introduces the basic elements of a function. So we need a definition for a function. Then at some point we're going to call the function. We're going to pass a parameter, and then that parameter, that value gets passed to the function, and the function does what it's supposed to do. So in this case, if the age is 23, then we're calling the function with age 23. 23 gets passed up, and then we run through the various tests, and we see 23 is between 18 and 64, and we print out the following message that we're going to have an adult fare. So one more time, the definition of your function, the function call, calling the function and reusing it as many times as you want, and then passing an argument to the function from the function call. Now we're going to continue. Let's go on to section 5 here. And section 5, something is interesting happening here. So let me go ahead and copy this into WordPad, and we can look at it more closely. So we're defining the first function here. We have one parameter, a parameter of n. And what are we doing? We're just simply multiplying it by 5. So if n is 3, then the number 15 gets returned. Now the second function, now look at this. We have one parameter again, okay? And when we go to execute that second function, it calls the first function. So we're making a function call within a function call. Now that sounds complicated, but all you have to do is step through this. So let me go ahead and make a function call here. So we're going to have some result, and we're going to call the second function by name. And we're going to pass the following number to it. We're going to pass in the number 2. So let's go ahead and follow this from start to finish and see what result is going to be. So function 2 is up here. That's the definition, and we're passing an argument of 2. So go ahead and just replace m with 2. And you can see down here that the letter M is there as well, so go ahead and replace M with 2. Now, this part here, what are we doing? We're calling another function, function 1. Well, function 1 is up here, and we're passing to that other function above the number 2. So number 2 gets passed up here, and what does this function do? Well, it's just simply going to multiply 5 by that number. So that's what's going to be returned, 2 times 5. So 2 times 5 is returned to the original function. This is the original function. This is where the function call was made. So that now gets replaced with 10. And then 10 plus 7 is added and gets returned. So therefore, the result is 17. So like I said, it looks complicated, but all you have to do is step through it. If you have any difficulty with this one function calling another, send me an email and I'll be more than happy to step through it with you. Okay, so that's what we're doing in this example here in section 5. And if we look at the instructions, it looks like we have a function, the first function here. What is it doing? It's adding the number 1 to whatever parameter gets passed in. Then in the second function, what we're supposed to do is call the first function. So this here is to be replaced with another function call, and that other function call is one good turn, and we put the letter n in there. So whatever n is, when we call that second function, okay, it gets put in here. Then we make a function call to the top, add 1, and then we return back, and then we add 2. So let's go ahead and run this to see if we did it correctly. Yes, we did, and we'll go on to the next step. Okay, now in this example here, It looks complicated, but it really isn't. So let's copy this into WordPad again and see what it does. Okay, so here's our function definition. It's called shout, and we're going to do a test here. Okay, and how are we going to carry out that test? Whatever gets passed in, okay, we're going to use the upper method to change it to uppercase. So let's say the following got passed in. The word hello. Okay, so hello gets passed in. Okay, now what are we going to do? We are going to convert it to uppercase. So hello becomes hello in uppercase. And then we're going to do a test. That's a test there. When we convert it to hello in uppercase, does it equal what was passed in originally? Well, originally we had hello in lowercase passed in. So hello in lowercase, does it equal hello in uppercase? The answer is no. And we don't execute this part. We execute this part over here. Can you speak up, please? Now let's pass in something different. This time we're going to pass in goodbye in uppercase. Okay, there it is. Oops, that's not uppercase. Let's type that out again. Goodbye in uppercase. Okay, so that gets passed in. And then we're going to convert it all to uppercase. Well, it's already in uppercase. Look at that. So goodbye. It's already in uppercase. So does it equal the value that got passed in? The answer is yes, and it says you are shouting. So that's straightforward enough. So let's look at the example we have to do here. So we're going to define a function called cube. Okay. And cube is going to accept as a parameter a value called number. So let's enter number in there, and we end it with a semicolon. So I'm going to copy and paste this all into Word later so that you can see it more clearly. And what are we going to do? We are going to cube the number. So we're going to return the cube of that number. So it's going to be number, and cube means that we're going to multiply it by itself and then multiply it by itself again. So in other words, we're going to take that number and put it to the exponent of 3. And that's how you do exponent in Python. In other programming languages, it would be a caret. So that is our first function. Let's go on to our second function. So our second function definition, okay, is by 3. We want to see if that number is divisible by 3. So it's going to take in another parameter called number, but it's going to do something a little bit different this time. It's going to do a test for us, and here is the test. If the number, okay, is divisible by 3. So how can you tell if a number is divisible by 3? You do the percent symbol and you do 3. So if the number is 9, 9 divided by 3 is 3, and there's no fractional part or remainder left over. However, if the number is 8, then 8 divided by 3, well, it goes in. It doesn't go in 3 times, and there is going to be a fractional portion. So let's do a test. So we want to see if the remainder equals 0. If the remainder equals 0, then we're going to call the first function. And to call the first function, we just have to state its name. So cube of number. Okay, and we'll go up to the first function above and we'll cube that number and we'll return it. Now, if that number is not divisible by 3, we are going to return something else. According to this, we are just going to return a value of false. So I'm going to return false over here. So let's copy all of this into WordPad, and we can see exactly see it a little bit more clearly. So here's your first function, and what you want to do is you want to cube that number. Okay, in the second function, we first want to see if that number is divisible by 3. If it is divisible by 3, we're going to cube it by calling the function above, and if it's not divisible by 3, we'll return false. And it's really important here to understand that errors are normal. So go ahead and run it and read to see if you have any errors. It didn't run there, so let me run it again. And it looks like there was no error here in the console, but if I read what I have here, by 3, okay, false. So it does look like there was a mistake here. So I'm going to return false with a capital F and run it again. And let's see what's happening here. Okay, so by 3 returned none. Did you remember to return the result? So no, I didn't. We have to return the cube. So I'm going to type return here, and I'm pretty sure it's going to work. And this time it returns the cube of that number.